This week's reading is Psalm 74. Psalm 74 is what's known as a psalm of lament. Dictionary.com defines lament as a passionate expression of grief or sorrow, and a piece of music or song or poem expressing grief or sorrow. Lamenting is an important part of life and something that we all do for loads of reasons. I'm sure that during this time we have all found a reason to lament, maybe through art or just through our own confession to ourselves, our friends, our families, or to God. Laments in the Psalms. You may be surprised to hear that there are lots of laments in the Psalms. In fact, approximately 70% of the Psalms are psalms of lament. There are two types of lament: a community lament written around something that is happening to a whole group of people, such as a war or a famine, and individual laments which reflect just one person's complaints. David wrote loads of these. Biblical laments. There are 7 elements that need to be included in a psalm for it to be considered a lament, although not all of these things need to be present for them to count, as we'll see when we move on to Psalm 74. An invocation of God, basically addressing the psalm to God, usually at the beginning. Most, if not all, psalms will have something like this, even if they aren't a lament. A complaint. This might be considered the heart of a lament because it's what gives the lament its distinctness. This might be a direct accusation of God for afflicting the lamenter, or it might be the lamenter complaining to God about themselves. A petition. The lamenter is asking God to deliver them from whatever situation they're facing. Call for vengeance. Some laments call for God to actually destroy their oppressor, and this is very consistent with the ethics of the Old Testament, but might feel a bit strange for a New Testament literate Christian. And confession of sin. Often the lamenter is well aware that they have done wrong in the eyes of God, and they are owning up to their mistakes. Protest of innocence. Sometimes the lamenter will try and reason with God as to why the situation they're facing is unjust, how they have been faithful servants, and other reasons that they don't deserve to be persecuted. A vow of praise. This is when the lamenter might express that they're going to do something, an action, for God, and the reason for it. Let's just use Psalm 13 verse 6 as an example. It says, "I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me." What he's going to do, who he's going to do it for, and the reason why. Vow of confidence. This vow is not gratitude as you might expect, but rather expression of confidence that God will do as the lamenter asks. Another thing that's important to remember when we read these laments is that they are in the present tense. They are not a reflection of how God saved them and now they are happy, but a real expression of where a person or those people are in that moment. And for example, Amazing Grace is not a lament because it exists in the past tense. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Difficulty of lament. You might be feeling after hearing all of this that laments are new to you. You may not have ever read through a lament psalm before. The more you read psalms of lament, the more you might discover that they don't always resolve and they don't always leave you feeling content with what's been said. Something that we shy away from in Christianity, as we would rather focus on the things that leave us feeling positive and lifted spiritually. But what do we have to learn from the lamenters in the Psalms? How can you engage with the lament psalm? What do you need to say to God in the moment today?